you're in it. You've bought some GPUs, you bought a motherboard, all that stuff, and now you're at the point where you're trying to buy a power supply. Perhaps you've already bought it and you're just kind of curious of what this video is about. So let's get to it. You start googling your power supply. Like, what's the best power supply for mining cryptocurrency? It's a good start. And this is a great article, kind of talks to you about different power supplies and different features that it has, so forth and so on. So now you go and you look it up on the old Amazon and you're looking at 486. That may be shocking, that may not be shocking. It's just also this, in the top right you'll see a rating of platinum. And there's I don't know, like a few ratings here. So there's like nothing. Then there's 80% efficiency, 85 at bronze, 90 at gold, 92 at platinum, and 94 at titanium. So with that information, you obviously want something that's energy efficient, especially important for mining. And when you look at here, you're like, oh, 486. That seems like a reasonable price maybe, but it's a little bit marked up, as it is everything. It's either marked up a lot or it's just not in stock. So let's navigate these waters here. So we're looking at a 309 MSRP price, and then on Amazon it's 486. Perhaps that difference is not that big of a deal to you, so you purchase there and now you're done. You don't have to worry about anything. You have some power for your first rig. Now if your rig is small, that's cool. If your rig is not small and you're starting off with a couple of cards, maybe like more than 6 or more than that, depending on what cards and how many watts they use, you might need 2 of these or 3. I don't know. So that's $1,200-ish, maybe more, maybe like $1,400 just in power supplies. And you could have used that extra savings maybe to kind of help you with your card purchases, or just maybe use more money to buy more cards. So we're going to start talking about power supplies, server power supplies, and to be specific. So this is a server power supply that is 1200 watts if you're on a 240 volt, and if not, it kind of goes down to 900 watts if you're on a 110 volt plug. So we take a look at this. You're like, what do I do with this? There's no ways to connect cables to it. There's this weird looking thing at the end, but it actually almost looks like a GPU. So here are the kind of things that we need for a power supply. We obviously need the power supply, so that's $32. That seems like crazy, like a steal, right, at this point. So you have a power supply here. You're going to need a power supply cord. You're going to need a breakout board, and that's going to depend on your needs and what kind of power supply you have. You may need a pico, and this video is mainly intended to talk about picos, but I wanted to kind of shed some of the information that I've kind of gone through on this journey. You may want a sync cable, which is out of stock, unfortunately. You're going to need to buy individual GPU cables from anywhere that sells them and has them in stock. And you might need a way to power your GPU. And you might need that, you might not. So first we're like, yeah, let's do this power supply thing, right? So here are some of the things that I've talked about. These are the cables. These were originally very weird to me. I've never seen these cables before. So you have, I think these are like PDU cables, and this is what a PDU is. It's got the outlets that look like that fit that. There's more very server type stuff. I don't know much about this. I don't know what kind of protection or what features it offers you. I haven't actually read through it, so I can't say like, hey, you should get this PDU thing. It might be worth it, but it's $155 and there's 10 in stock. So I ended up getting a cable like this. This is more of my speed of what I know, and just I'm going to be plugging mine into probably a 120 volt outlet for now. People say that the power supply is noisy, and I think I don't remember, it was Hash Raptor on YouTube, but he showed the difference between 110 volt and 100 and 240 volt. If you connect to a 240 volt, it'll be the most efficient. It'll have the most watts available, and it'll be quiet. Alright, so an alternative is you can just buy a power supply kit from a company like Parallel Miner. So like, what's cool about Parallel Miner, and I don't have any affiliation with them, is that you can buy your power supply, your breakout board, and your GPU cables. You'll still need to get the power cord. I don't know why they do not include it here, at least as an option to switch between these, obviously, cords. That would have been super helpful also to understand, and they could have added it to the price. I mean, anyway, so this is what your power supply would end up looking like. You would have your cord back here, you would have your breakout board here, and you would have obviously your power supply in the middle. And the cool features about these server power supplies is that you can daisy chain them or sync them or whatever you want to say. I believe that if one, like, they all turn on at the same time and that kind of stuff. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it does. So here you have just a lot of options as far as how many cards you want to power, and you would have a lot of watts there. I don't know what it looks like to power multiple, like ATX. I don't know if you were to daisy chain them. I think you have to, like on the Asus motherboard, you have like 3 24 pins. So that's a way to power all those PCI ports. Anyway, so that's a server server power supply. And I guess these are just more examples of them, like daisy chaining, and then they have this like remote management system. Here's the cable sold out. This is the cable that allows you to daisy chain them or interconnect them. Now, another thing to kind of look out for these power supplies is that, for example, this is a 2,400 watt, and you're like, oh, 244, that's still a great price, especially for 2,400 watts. But what you need to know is that some of these you can't connect to 110 volt. You have to connect them to the 240 volt. So just make sure you read through this stuff if you're going to purchase from Parallel Miner, or at least get an understanding of what things are. So if you do buy them from another marketplace like eBay, you'll actually know what you're looking for, and not just like buy something that might not even be compatible with certain breakout boards. Speaking of breakout boards, if you were to buy this kit here, that comes with this breakout board, you might notice, or you might question yourself, how am I going to power my motherboard, my GPU, SATA, Molex, all that other stuff, because this does not have a 24 pin. And this is where picos come in, and where a different type of breakout board exists. So what do you do? So you have a few options. You can either just roll with this one, with this board that you have, and maybe buy a less watt power supply, like a regular one, maybe, I don't know, 500 watts or whatever the lowest is that you can power your GPU and your motherboard, and then have this just for your I'm sorry, the CPU, not the GPU. So you can power your CPU and your motherboard, and then use this to just power your GPUs. So that's a route that you can go. You're probably going to spend maybe like $200 some. So Parallel Miner has this breakout board that comes with a 24 pin Molex to SATA, I think, your fans, and just a bunch of stuff. And it comes with the cables to power these things. And here's an example of it connected and all that good stuff. So this would be ready to go if you just got this, and you can also connect these with other, as you can see here, interconnect them. And now this would be the end of the story if it wasn't out of stock. So I actually ordered this, but it was on back order, so I don't know when I'll get it. Hopefully I'll get it soon, but because of that, I went down the rabbit hole to figure out what other options that I have to get my rig up. I have like not all the parts yet, and I don't have any way to power stuff, so as far as like cables go. Alright, so we'll close that and we'll close here. So now you know what a server power supply is, what things you need for the server power supply, and some of the kind of gotchas here. I'm going to pause this for a sec. About Pico. This is a straightforward Pico. Let's look at it connected. It is connected to your breakout board here. It'll then be connected to your CPU, EPS here, which is a 4-pin or a 4+4 pin. You'll see. I believe some these may or may not be the fan stuff. I don't know what this is. So these are the connections that you'll get, and this seems to be pretty good. There's 273 in stock, and it's $27. That's pretty cool as far as like saving money. And it's connected here to the motherboard I got, which is a BioStar BTC. I kind of wish I went this route because I ordered the other breakout board. I have to kind of wait for that breakout board, I guess, to be available for them to ship everything out, which is like cables and the breakout board and some other stuff. So we can then get into the 180 watt. I'm not sure what entails for you to jump from 160 to 180. I think there's a 250 available that I saw on eBay. And the big difference is there might be more things that you can power with, but if you take a look here on the left side with this little green and black connector, the thing that's powering this Pico is what's called a barrel, I think DC to AC or something like that, and that's then connected to this female or male port. Then the two, I think 14 gauge wires are going into this 6 pin, which then disconnects to your breakout board. Not sure if they have really good pictures of that whole system being connected, but this is the CPU 4-pin being connected. Let's see here. This is the 24-pin. Yeah, so this would be good. It's out of stock. Again, I don't know what needs a 180 watt max power connection. Maybe this is just about the CPU being able to have that ability. So if you know more about that, I'd really appreciate a comment about it. And if you did, and the reason I mentioned this is because if you bought or are going to buy a Pico from eBay, the eBay Picos don't come with a cable, and that's the thing about parallel miners, again, is that they're making these things specific for breakout boards. So this is what you'll see on eBay. It's just this without this wire. Now you can build your own if you wanted to. You can get a lot of these male plugs. You can get 10 of them shipped to your house. You can find this on Amazon, also Prime, so you can get it quicker. And then or you can just buy the kit for $8.19. There's 411 of them in stock. Again, this is shipping out from California, so you might not want to wait that long, or you might have to wait that long. I don't know. It's up to you. So you can just buy this cable if you bought a Pico from eBay, and that has a DC barrel power connection. I ended up buying a 120 watt Pico that does not have a 4-pin to the CPU, and this is unfortunately out of stock for me, or for everyone. So I did end up buying one from eBay, but what's important here is that I'm giving you this information in case you want to power your CPU with your breakout. So with your breakout board. So if that's like something that you want to do, you're going to be able to do it, and I guess your CPU will have more power going, more power availability to it if it needed it, which you shouldn't, but in case something happens, I guess it won't maybe mess with your Pico. So because I got the 120 watt Pico, didn't come with this CPU connector, I needed to find a way to connect the CPU to power it. So here's eBay. Maybe you'll buy this one. That's $21.99 from ThinkPan. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cheap. So this is what I'm talking about here, is that it's powered by this DC 12 volt, and this says it's a 250 watt Pico. So how are you going to power that? So you have two choices. You get this cable here. You make your own cable with a, if you have cable lying around, and then the pin, the Molex pin stuff, and connected. Maybe you know about electrical stuff, so you know how to cut this and make it into a six pin or something. Or you can just buy a DC converter. So let me see if I can find. So this is the cable that I was talking about, that you can get on eBay to power your CPU. I believe. Yep. I just double check, because this is not the one I bought, but this seems like it is what you need. But here's an example of a Pico board that comes with a DC AC power adapter. So this is 150 watt, comes with that. It's a different connection. This is a 6-pin DC thing that I guess you connect to your Pico. So you can find some of those on eBay. You can also find these cables on eBay, but they're being shipped from China, so that time difference might not be ideal to you. And these are in stock. There's again like 40 of them in stock. So that's the story with Pico. I think that's everything. So you can power your CPU with your breakout board. You can power your Pico hopefully with your breakout board, and then you can power the rest of your GPUs, your graphics cards with the breakout board, and then your risers. And you'll save some money. I mean, I spent a lot of money on cables because I bought from Parallel Miner, only to realize that I was never going to get that in the time that I wanted to get it. So I went out and bought a Pico, cables. Like I've kind of double bought stuff because I realized that I wasn't going to get it in time, hopefully. But I still don't have any GPUs, and stay tuned, because I'll have a video for putting my rig together, kind of what it cost me at this stage, and all other stuff that you buy, like tools and extra parts and parts that you think you'll need if you want to expand. I bought them because, just in case things get even worse, where like there's absolutely nothing to be able to be purchased, and everything else as far as resale price goes crazy. But that's a story for another day. Thank you for watching.